welcome to Live Interactive English. Hello, everyone. I am Mike.
And I am Sydney. And today we are going to be talking about a very interesting topic.
Okay.
My goodness, it's titled The Animal Heroes of Search and Rescue.
Ooh.
Wow, very, very interesting stuff. Now, for those that may not know, search and rescue, right? That typically, when we use that typically refers to searching for people, searching for people who are missing, and rescuing them or saving them.
Yes.
And it looks like in addition to people kind of doing those things, we have animals that can help us out with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've seen this on the news. There's an earthquake, a bunch of buildings fall down. Some dogs will go in and they'll be sniffing for
around.
people. Of course, we might have other cases where someone is lost in the woods. You know, maybe some young child goes off in the woods, and then at night they don't come home and they start searching for them. So there's dogs out there sniffing around, doing what dogs naturally do very well. But apart from dogs, Sydney, I'm having a tough time thinking of other animals. I've never heard of a cat finding a young child on a mountain.
My
I've never heard of a goldfish going to an earthquake zone to save people, or a parrot being asked to, you know, search for someone lost at sea. So it's dogs, 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 and dogs that do these jobs, right?
Well, you would think,
I would.
but I think we're going to find out when we dive a little bit deeper into our article for today.
By diving deeper, are there animal rescue goldfish?
What, you know, goldfish, I'm going to think maybe not. Maybe something else with a strong sense of smell, good eyesight, paws, great hearing, maybe. Unfortunately,
anteaters.
Maybe.
Anteaters.
Unfortunately, as much as I love cats, probably not cats.
No
probably
way.
not. But dogs are not the only ones that do help with search and rescue missions. And so we're going to find out more of it in a bit.
Okay, I think cats would help you after their nap.
Probably after their nap, after they've groomed themselves, and after they have a full belly of food.
Of course, after each nap, there is another nap. All right, let's get to our article, and then we can all take a nap.
When people think of search and rescue animals, the image of brave dogs searching through disaster zones likely comes to mind. But dogs are only the beginning. Around the world, a range of animals has been trained to help with search missions and rescue efforts both on land and underwater. For decades, the U.S. Navy has trained bottlenose dolphins to find underwater mines and lost equipment. Thanks to their echolocation ability, these dolphins can search places that human divers and machines struggle to reach. Similarly, California sea lions have been used to track down objects buried in the seafloor and mark their location for human teams.
All right, welcome back. So we are going to continue to dive deeper or get started with our article for the day, which again is titled The Animal Heroes of Search and Rescue Day 1.
Okay.
So let's do it.
Let's get into it. It says, when people think of search and rescue animals, the image of brave dogs searching through disaster zones likely comes to mind. It certainly came to my mind.
Yes, absolutely.
When I'm thinking of animals saving people in a disaster zone, yes, we're thinking of dogs using their powerful noses to find people in all sorts of dangerous situations. And that's what happens when there's a disaster. A disaster is a terrible event that will probably be a surprise of some kind. Often when we think of disasters, we think of natural disasters like earthquakes and typhoons and volcanoes exploding, and it will hurt people, kill people, affect homes, affect businesses, whole towns and countries, and a lot of people will be in danger and a lot of people will need help. We can also have other disasters, anything where a lot of people could be hurt or killed, a train crash, a plane crash, anything like that could also be a disaster. So we don't like them, but of course they do make the news, and yes, many people will try to help in a disaster, hopefully. The example sentence says the earthquake was a disaster that destroyed many homes, and that of course is a disaster we are all too familiar with here in Taiwan. And I'm sure, I know that when I've seen, pictures of disasters like earthquakes in Taiwan, we see those dogs out there.
We do, yeah,
right?
searching for people, searching for, missing things, all the time.
But that's about the only animal I can remember seeing out there, Sydney.
But as the article continues, it says here, but dogs are only the beginning.
Really?
See, you have to keep reading. It's only the beginning.
All right, I'm still waiting to be convinced. Give me an example.
Stick with it.
Give me an example.
So it says here, around the world, a range of animals has been trained to help with search missions and rescue efforts both on land and underwater. Look at that. So maybe the goldfish are kind of part of the search and rescue missions. You never know.
Underwater
maybe.
dogs.
Underwater
dogs. That's a thing.
I don't
I've heard of water dogs. They like to swim and chase ducks. But they don't usually go underwater. So that's a very interesting mission.
Mission.
That I don't think a dog could do well. Okay.
Right. But what is a mission? So a mission is just a plan or maybe an important assignment given to a person or a group of people, in this case animals, often with the goal being to help or save people in need, right? So for example, we could say the robot was used for a dangerous mission.
Ooh, maybe going into a volcano, for example. I think they use robots for that. All right. Someone who is on a dangerous mission right now is our friend Hanny. She's here to teach us stuff. Good luck with that, Hanny.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。这2天的课程是关于搜救动物。讲到搜救动物，大家脑海中浮现的可能是搜救犬他们在灾区搜索的画面。可是其实不只是搜救犬，在世界各地，各种动物已经被训练来协助陆地还有水下的搜索任务以及救援行动。好，单字 disaster 这个名词表示灾难灾祸 ，disaster zone 就可以表达灾区 ，mission 则是表达像重要特定的任务使命。介华课文中。
All right, we are back learning about other amazing animals, not dogs, that do wonderful things to help and save people in disasters. And yes, earlier you mentioned that some of these animals do jobs or missions on land and underwater, which totally scrambled my brain because I was like, dogs do these jobs. Dogs don't swim very well, certainly not underwater.
Not underwater.
So what are we talking about here? Well, it says right now, for decades, the U.S. Navy has trained bottlenose dolphins to find underwater mines and lost equipment. Bottlenose dolphins.
Oh, look at that.
That is very interesting.
Pretty cool.
So, of course, these are creatures that can swim underwater very, very well. Dolphins don't dance very well, but they swim very
true.
well, right? Especially underwater. And yes, they can dive deep down. I don't know how they train them, but we've seen dolphins doing tricks in aquariums
tricks and flips and all types of stuff.
And things like that. So there you go. And they go underwater to look for mines, which are kind of like bombs that might blow up boats, and also lost equipment. So I guess I don't think this is if someone drops a hammer off a boat.
Yeah.
This would be like if we lose a submarine.
Yeah,
or
something really large, something important.
Dangerous. Maybe people are trapped inside. The dolphin can go down there and find this equipment. What is equipment? Equipment is basically stuff that you need to do a job of some kind. It's a very big word. We could talk about a chef's knives and things as being the chef's equipment. You could talk about a guitar, a microphone as being the equipment that a music group might need to play their show. Of course, tools would go in there like hammers and saws if you're building things. And if you've seen a fire truck, they're filled with boxes and places to put all the special equipment or stuff or tools that firefighters need to do their job. So really, it's a bunch of stuff that you need to do a job. For example, we need special equipment to climb the mountain, probably spikes and pitons and ropes and those little D-rings and all sorts of things like that.
Yeah, all right. Thanks to their echolocation ability, again referring to the dolphins, these dolphins can search places that human divers and machines struggle to reach.
Good point.
Oh,
Good point.
Okay.
And they
very
work for
interesting.
Fish.
They do.
Yeah,
they
cheap.
do. They're cheap labor.
There you
That's
go.
good to know.
That is actually really true. And of course, they can probably stay down underwater a lot longer than people. And with that echolocation, kind of like how bats can see at night, they'd be able to search in like muddy water, dark places.
Yeah.
That's actually really interesting. Similarly, it says, or in the same kind of way, California sea lions, have been used to track down objects buried in the seafloor and mark their location for human teams. Now, this could be for the US Navy, but they're doing something very similar. I guess sea lions, they can kind of dig a little bit, right, with their flippers, their little hands there. So they're also looking for things that might even be buried or covered up by mud under the ocean, and they mark their location for human teams. What a great partnership.
Yeah, very
between
cool.
These interesting animals.
Look at that.
All right, it's almost as great as our partnership with Hanny, who's here to tell us all about some really interesting stuff.
数十年来，美国海军一直训练平底海豚来寻找水雷，还有遗失的装备。那这些海豚利用回声定位能力，搜索人类潜水员还有机器难以到达的地方。单字 equipment 它是指装备设备，是不可数名词。单字例句提到登山的特殊装备 ，Mike 老师这时候提到 spikes， 它可以指防滑鞋钉或是指钉鞋。Piton 表示岩钉。D-ring 则是表达 D 型环。好，那这边有一个重点是 thanks to， 它表示由于多亏有了或者是凭借，它是片语介系词，后面要接名词或动名词。那它就跟 because of 意思相近，只是它常用在指正面的原因。例如 Thanks to your directions, we had no trouble finding the place。多亏了你的指引，我们很顺利找到那个地方。介绍课文中。
All right, thank you so much, Hanny. So we've discovered just in this first part that dogs are not the only ones that are capable of helping people with search and rescue missions.
No,
Look at
not at all. We've
that.
got dolphins, we've got sea lions, and we've just begun.
Yes.
So don't go far. We've got the second part of the article coming up.
Such animal assistance dates back to the Cold War, and despite advances in underwater technology, these animals' speed and natural abilities remain difficult to match. Then there's Splash, an Asian small-clawed otter serving with a police department in Florida. He's currently the only otter in the US known to be trained for forensic missions. Using his ability to blow air bubbles that trap scents, Splash assists in underwater explorations. The otter can help locate human remains where visibility is almost zero and regular rescue dogs can't go.
All right, we are back from our break and we are going to continue learning about what other animals help people with search and rescue missions.
Yes.
So it says here, such animal assistance dates back to the Cold War, and despite advances in underwater technology, these animals' speed and natural abilities remain difficult to match. Oh,
that's really actually a good point. The Cold War, of course, was kind of after World War II up until the 90s, the end of the Soviet Union, what we used to call Russia. And yes, since then, think of all the computers and digital stuff and special cameras we have. We can see into space, we can see through smoke, we can see at night using special cameras, but these animals still offer amazing assistance.
Yeah, they offer assistance, and assistance is just another way of saying help, right? They're able to be very helpful. So, for example, we could say, Sam went to provide assistance to injured people, meaning he went over to essentially help and take care of people who were injured or hurt.
Okay, so there you go. That is something that the US Navy has been doing for a long time. I think I've also read of the Russians having some dolphins or porpoises or beluga whales or something. They do something similar. And then, moving on from that, then there's Splash. Okay, this apparently is someone's name because it's a capital S. Then there's Splash, an Asian small-clawed otter serving with a police department in Florida.
Of course it's Florida.
If I read that in a newspaper, I would be like, yeah, of course it's Florida.
Of course, that makes perfect sense for Florida.
That's some crazy Florida story where crazy things often happen in Florida. I think it's too hot. That's why weird things happen in Florida. But this weird thing from Florida is actually real. An otter who works with a police department. What does he do, you ask? Good question. He's currently the only otter in the US known to be trained for forensic missions.
Wow.
So this is like CSI Florida with an otter.
Oh, that's so cool.
Forensic, that's kind of like when the police, find a body and they have to figure out, who is it, when did they
need
die,
DNA, they need evidence,
do all that
timelines, all that stuff.
Work. Fascinating, but I'm not sure how an otter, which is kind of like a furry little water dog, how that can help the police. We'll find out after we check in with our good friend Hanny.
课文提到这类动物辅助工作可以追溯到冷战时期，尽管水下技术不断进步，那这些动物的速度还有天赋能力依然是难以媲美。好，来看单字 assistance。这个名词表示协助、帮忙、援助，它是不可数名词。补充一下 ，Mike 老师刚刚在讲到海豚时，他还有提到 porpoise 是指鼠海豚 ，beluga whale 是指白鲸的意思。那这边有一个重点是 remain， 它当连缀动词表示维持，像维持某个状态，或是依然是怎么样，后面常常会接形容词或名词。例如 ，Please remain silent during the show。表演过程中，请保持安静。那解华课文中。
Okay, so CSI Otter in Florida now. I don't know, Sydney. I've actually seen sea lions and dolphins performing tricks. They do have otters at the Vancouver Aquarium swimming around. They're just cute.
They're cute. I was gonna say, I don't know. I mean, they must be pretty intelligent. I don't know how big their brains are or how smart they are. But like you said, they're like these cute, fluffy little water dogs, and they float, and they like to be very playful. They lie on their back, and they just kind of, it seems like
hold hands when they're sleeping.
Yeah, they're adorable.
Yeah, but how are they helping the police?
Well, let's see.
Okay.
So it says here, using his ability to blow air bubbles that trap scent, Splash assists in underwater explorations. Okay.
This is. I have so many questions. First of all, how did they figure out that otters can blow their own air bubbles?
Right.
And how did they also figure that those air bubbles can trap smell? So this is all happening underwater. And of course, a bubble is kind of like a ball of air. If you've ever played with like soap when you were a kid, and you blow through it and you get these round, perfectly round little balls, and they float through the air. That's of course a bubble, and you can pop it with your fingers. If you're washing your hands with soap, you might have lots of little bubbles, or shampoo in your hair. And of course, if you're drinking a fizzy drink like a cola or 7-Up or, Haesong Sasa, you'll have bubbles in that. And of course, there are little pockets of air. So, for example, I watched more and more bubbles appear in the water. Okay, so how does this work? Well, imagine an otter underwater making bubbles out of its own mouth. Okay, whatever. The otter, it says, can help locate human remains where visibility is almost zero and regular rescue dogs can't go. So it's happening underwater, so that means the rescue dogs can't really swim.
Right.
I guess if there's a body like in a river or a lake, it can catch the air or the smell of the body in the air bubble.
In the air bubble?
And then it smells it and it goes, oh, it smells real bad over
I
here.
Guess so.
There must be a dead guy or something.
I guess.
Who figures this out?
I was just gonna say, who figured these things out? Whose idea was this initially?
They hit some hot dogs and the otter found them underwater and they're like, I don't know.
Incredible.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
All right, you know who else is amazing? Hanny. And she can blow air bubbles too. Watch.
我才不要表演吹泡泡嘞。那课文有提到说，在佛罗里达州警察局服役的小爪水獭 Splash， 它会利用吹气泡捕捉气味的能力来协助水下的探索工作。在能见度几乎为零，一般搜救犬无法进入的水域，这个 Splash 它可以帮忙定位人类的遗骸。好，来看单字 bubble 就是指泡泡、气泡。Mike 老师在讲解单字时有用到 fizzy 这个字，它可以形容起泡的或者嘶嘶作响的。好，那这边一个重点是 remains， 它当名词是指剩余物、残余部分、遗迹、遗址。当这个意思解释时，常用复数形。那文中用到 human remains 或是用 somebody's remains 就可以表达遗体或是遗骸。举例来说 ，The remains of the airplane have been found。那一架飞机的残骸已经被找到了。接话课文中。
All right, so we have, again, learned about many animals that help with search and rescue missions, from bottlenose dolphins to, of course, dogs, but also to the adorable otter named Splash, who's working for the police down there in lovely, sunny Florida.
That's right, and don't forget the California sea lions that also help the Navy and the dolphins search for things underwater. So that's a very interesting collection of underwater animals clearly doing things that dogs couldn't do or would have a really hard time doing. So I am already very impressed. We have so much more tomorrow though, don't we?
We do. So we are going to review the article again, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
When people think of search and rescue animals, the image of brave dogs searching through disaster zones likely comes to mind. But dogs are only the beginning. Around the world, a range of animals has been trained to help with search missions and rescue efforts both on land and underwater. For decades, the U.S. Navy has trained bottlenose dolphins to find underwater mines and lost equipment. Thanks to their echolocation ability, these dolphins can search places that human divers and machines struggle to reach. Similarly, California sea lions have been used to track down objects buried in the seafloor and mark their location for human teams. Such animal assistance dates back to the Cold War, and despite advances in underwater technology, these animals' speed and natural abilities remain difficult to match. Then there's Splash, an Asian small-clawed otter serving with a police department in Florida. He's currently the only otter in the U.S. known to be trained for forensic missions. Using his ability to blow air bubbles that trap scents, Splash assists in underwater explorations. The otter can help locate human remains where visibility is almost zero and regular rescue dogs can't go.
最后，我们来复习今天课文里的单字文法。单字的部分有 disaster 名词表示灾难灾祸 ，mission 名词表示重要特定的任务使命 ，equipment 名词表示装备设备 ，assistance 也是名词指协助、帮忙、援助。Bubble 也是名词，表示泡泡、气泡。好，那文法部分第一个学到 thanks to 可以表达由于、多亏有了什么、凭借着什么。第二个学到 remain 的不同词性跟意义，那它可以当连缀动词表达维持某状态，依然是怎么样。那如果是用 remains 是当名词表达剩余物、残余部分或是遗迹、遗址。好，以上是这节讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Hey, what's up? Why the long face?
It's just exhausting having to do this donkey work all the time.
Donkey work? What, are you working like a donkey?
No, not literally. It just means I keep getting stuck with boring, repetitive tasks.
I get it. It can be frustrating, but this is how it is here. Everyone has to go through this phase when they start.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I just wish things would change up a little bit sometimes so I don't go crazy.
Hello everyone, today's phrase is donkey work.
That's right. It refers to boring, routine tasks that require little skill and are usually entry level.
Think of it like a donkey carrying heavy loads all day. The work is basic and monotonous, making it grueling over time.
So we often use this phrase to describe the repetitive or dull parts of a job or project.
For example, I spent the whole morning doing the donkey work of organizing files.
Or you could say, new employees often have to do the donkey work before they get to tackle creative tasks.
So next time you're stuck with a tedious task, you can call it donkey work.
Exactly, and that's all for today.
See you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.